Welcome, everybody, to my daily broadcast for the Power of Connection and LinkedIn Livestream. My name is Bobby Umar. I'm a professional speaker, coach, author, and a consultant on personal branding, networking, thought leadership, and digital influence. Today's topic is, again, part of my series of public speaking, part 4. Today I'm going to talk about actually how to deliver a fantastic presentation while your audience, and then also how to manage a relationship and build followership around your thought leadership brand as a speaker. So that's really what I'm talking about. Hope you will join the conversation, which is going to be me sharing some content and thoughts around, what I do specifically, and then I'm going to get Q&A and get people to ask questions, and then we can kind of engage each other for the next 20, 25 minutes. So, if you are here, first off, right below, kind of where you're in from. Are you from Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, North America, South America? Let me know where you're from, what city, what country. That'd be great to know. And then you can also engage people on the feed. You can also start asking questions or commenting what I'm talking about. I also encourage you to, if you think people will love to be part of this conversation, tag people below, or even share this on your page and tag lots of people. We want to get as many people as a part of the conversation as we can. Because I'm here every day at 8:30 a.m. sharing content. This week I was doing a 4-part series on public speaking, because I'm a professional speaker, and I also teach people how to build speaking brands as well as building systems for getting speaking gigs. So I thought I'd talk about that. You can see all my links below in terms of all the things that I'm doing, and if you need any help or support, you can always message me, which is fine. But that's the topic for today, and let me just load up everyone who's here, and I can start commenting and seeing what's going on. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to start saying hello to people. That's one of my favorite parts of the day, just to see people. So look at that. There's Vinay, there's Nazareth, good to see you. Adam from California, Mike's here. All right, cool. So it looks like 13 so far. It's good. Yesterday we had up to 100 people joining us on the call, which was great. So, and also every Wednesday I do a weekly, what I call Wisdom Wednesday, where I interview some prominent figure or expert in the field. And if you know someone that wants to be, interviewed and has strong expertise and is well known, has large influence in their respective field, let me know. And if they're in Toronto, let me know so I can actually talk to them and interview them. And next week I'm actually interviewing Amy Jenkins, but the challenge is it might have to be on a Thursday, because on Wednesday it might be Eid. I'm not sure if people know, but a lot of people are fasting during the month of Ramadan, and so Eid is going to be on Wednesday, and so I'll be celebrating with my family. It may not work. So just a heads up, it might be on Thursday. Hello to Mohsin from Dubai, and Trajan from Ottawa, Natalie. Wow, Natalie's here. Great. Sipping her tea. I love it. An interesting topic, Vinay says, how would you connect the two? Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to get into. I mean, they certainly do connect. So that's a good thing to know. So so let's get right into it, guys. So the reason why I've been doing this series is, again, because I've been a professional speaker for 14 years, and I've been helping people build their own systems and strategies and topics. Now, the first day on Monday we talked about the importance of your speaker brand, story, and topics, and honing in on that. The second day we actually dove into topics. I explained to people how to come up with the right topics for whatever topic or target or brand you want to create. Then yesterday we talked about marketing. So what are the marketing tools, and how do you pitch and get those actual gigs and negotiate for what you're trying to get? And then today is really about this one, which is about helping you figure out now that you've got the gig, how do I now deliver on the promise? And then how do I also manage my brand and my thought leadership followership as a professional speaker, a public speaker? Because whether you make public speaking part of your brand or full-time as your brand, some are full-time speakers, some are part-time speakers. Other people are just, for example, CEOs or tech entrepreneurs, and what you're doing is you're creating content, and what you're doing is you want to share about your business, you want to share about your work, and you may not even care about getting money, you just care about getting the word out there and building your own brand. And Perry Monaco from LinkedIn Canada, thanks. Once I got LinkedIn Live, I decided to do a daily broadcast Monday to Friday, and so far so good. Some feedback. I'm losing followers because people don't like the notifications, but I think it's changed though, because initially it would just say Bobby Umar's live, and it didn't say what I was talking about. But now it says Bobby Umar's live, and it has the headline of what I'm talking about, and so now people are tuning in. So I think that's good. It's changed, so I appreciate that. Good to see you, Anthony, and everyone else is coming in. Orlando, good to see everybody. And again, if you like what you're hearing, you can like, clap, heart, light bulb, and whatever that is. And you can share this on your feed, tag people. Let's get part of the conversation, because I love all that kind of stuff. It keeps me going because I see it on here on the screen right here, and then I'm talking to you over here. All right, so let's get into it. So now you've got the great brand, you've reached out, you've got the gig. Now how do you deliver on that? So one of the things you want to do, hey Marianne, good to see you from Halifax. One of the things you want to do when you're trying to deliver excellence is you want to make sure you understand exactly what they want. So take the time to understand what they're trying to do and what are their objectives, who the target demographic is, because the number one rule for speaking, of course, is to know your audience, right? You want to know your audience, and as soon as you know your audience, then you can serve them in the best way possible. So number one, know who the audience is in terms of who they are, what they're looking for. Number two, you want to look at what are the objectives of the event or the speaking gig per se. What do they want people to get from you? Is it they want you to dive into networking? Do they want you to talk about the importance of real estate? Do they want you to tell the 3 secrets of lead funnels? Whatever it might be, make sure you know exactly what the objectives are of the audience, okay? And then as you're putting together your presentation, you want to think about, don't worry about being a super speaker. You don't have to be, Barack Obama or or a Brené Brown or a Gary Vaynerchuk. You don't have to be like a superstar speaker or a good orator. You have to be a good teacher. So I want you to focus on learning to teach, because the truth is you don't have to be like a super energetic speaker. You can be an introvert like Susan Cain and deliver great content and great insight. But what I want you to think about is what is it you want to teach your audience? Okay, that's the first thing. So then so that's the whole pre prep. Then when you're prepping, you want to prep in a way that, again, is meaningful to the audience. So is there PowerPoint? Is there a screen on stage? Is this something you use? Or do you want to just use, a whiteboard? Do you want to use music? Do you want to use video? Do you want to use nothing? I mean, there's some speakers out there, like one of my mentors, Sanjay Nath. He doesn't use PowerPoint. He just speaks on the microphone, and it works for him. It depends on the audience. I mean, sometimes I think the more business the conference is, the more it's better to have some PowerPoint or something that they could take away. But you can still, again, if your speech is entirely inspirational, motivational, which sometimes it is, then you probably don't need any slides. You still need a story. You still need a structure. You still need to figure out exactly what's the way to make this thing work. So what I usually do is I put together a structure that I think is a winning structure in terms of telling personal stories, engaging the audience and getting their stories, sharing data, sharing case studies, and then story arcing my presentation from start to finish. And one of the big things I do is I tell them what I'm going to tell them in the beginning. Then I tell them what I told them with a nice review. And then I always have Q&A in my talks. Now, there are certain things you can do to really deliver an excellence. One, of course, is if you're not a super proficient speaker, or you have trouble, then it's important for you to rehearse more. Right, so you have to rehearse more and maybe talk to somebody, get some feedback. That would be good to do to kind of see how you can improve your skills. Like a lot of people send me their videos and say, "Okay, Bobby, give me some feedback on my stuff." And if I had time, I certainly would. But usually if I get on a call, I can certainly give a few big feedbacks. I'm always big about gentle but raw honesty, right? And I don't sugarcoat anything. But I just say, look, here's what I think is you need to fix. Like those who worked at my speaker mastermind group, they know that I think Jose told me that, Bobby, you really deliver great honest feedback as opposed to getting around it, and then just lay it out there. I mean, we're all adults. I assume we're all adults, and you can handle the feedback, and you're going to do the best with it as you can. So that's kind of what I do. Now, if you have questions and comments on what I'm talking about, continue to comment below. But let me keep going with the delivering presentation. So the other big thing you want to do to deliver a world-class presentation is get to know your audience. So what I do is I actually go to the events well before unless I'm in the morning keynote. But if it's during the day, I'll actually go and talk to people and find out what are they getting from this conference, this event, what do they want to learn, why are they here, what are they hoping to get from me. And oftentimes I'll personalize my presentation in a way that directly talks about, I talked to Samantha and she mentioned this thing. Hopefully I'm going to deliver on that. If not, let's bring the Q&A. And I bring that to their attention. The other thing I do is I use social media, and I start, if there's a hashtag or whatever, I start talking to people, tweeting people, and letting them know what's going on. Hey, Alice, good to see you. Thanks, Chris, for the question. So I start tweeting people and using the hashtags and start engaging people. I'll be speaking in 2 hours, speaking in 1 hour, speaking 30 minutes. What's going on? What do you guys want to learn? Come talk to me afterwards, because I know a lot of times when you do a speech, they're like, oh, there's that big person, and I'm actually physically big, but like a big influential person on stage, and they say, "Oh, who am I to talk to this person?" No, come talk to me. When I spoke last year at the Hastings Hustle with Gary Vaynerchuk and Michaela Alexis and a bunch of other people, and there was 2,000 people, I just said, "Guys, you have to come talk to me. Don't be intimidated. Come talk to me. I'm a regular teddy bear guy. Like, come talk to me." And then it was good because there was like 30, 40, 50 people talking to me for a couple hours afterwards, which was great. And that actually segues into what I want to talk about in terms of how you build that thought leadership brand. Because if you do, the more excellence you deliver on your presentation, the more you wow them, the more you're going to get people who want to follow you. They're going to want to add you. They're going to want to connect with you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're going to want to be followers and engage you. So I think that's an important piece to keep in mind. So that's why you also want to deliver excellence. Another thing, there's other big tips for delivering excellence on the stage, and I don't want to go through it in great detail because I structure the entire detail in one of my training modules for the Speaker Mastermind, which you can either join my Speaker Mastermind group or you can get access to it if you join one of my Patreon groups, which also gives you access to some of those things. But the general idea is, there's storytelling, which is going to be a great way to connect with the audience. You have to understand how to come up with a fantastic opening and have a fantastic close. And that's an important piece. And look at that. Such a good. Yeah, the Raptors won last night for game 1 of the NBA playoffs. So excited. Who's excited? I'm excited. Oh, I hope they can win. I'm going to pick it. Raptors in 5 or 7 because I want them to win at home. So that's the reason I say that. So we'll see what happens. But Golden State's a really good team. But I'm hoping that Raptors can pull it off. That'd be great. So other things you can do on stage to really wow the audience is, again, dynamic visuals, dynamic videos, dynamic content that really, wow, that works really, really well. I also try to mix it up with really powerful quotes that can encapsulate exactly what I'm saying. I always have a strong open and close in terms of that I memorize, that's using the really compelling words and emotions. I'm really big on leveraging vulnerability to connect with the audience on a greater level. So these are all different things. I story arc my presentations. These are all different things and then I encourage the Q&A. I'm really big on that. And I say, take your Q&A and save it and ask at the end. Almost every single presentation I've ever done, there's always questions at the end, and that's part of it is because I encourage it. And after, the other big thing too is I make myself accessible. There's a lot of speakers out there. Whether they're busy or they think too much of themselves, they come in, do their thing, they leave. And I really don't like that. I really want to have access to speakers, and I know people value that, so I always make myself accessible. I'm like, I'm here, come talk to me. I'll stick around for an hour afterwards, and try to make myself accessible. So these are all things that I do to deliver on my presentation, and then I encourage them. And then the other thing I do is I always try to end with some inspiration, end with a call to action, and then encourage them to connect with me to see if there's ways I can help them, because I offer myself to help them out, to look at their resume, look at their website, look at their pitch, find ways to help them, leverage my network or community. I say, I have 500,000 followers. Let me help you use my social media to promote you, because again, promoting one another is win-win as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I do. So that's what I do in terms of delivering a strong presentation and wowing the audience. Another way to wow the audience, of course, is humor, but I don't think everyone should do that. I can be funny, but some people cannot. Get feedback if you want to make sure you're funny or not. Energy and things like that are things that I use to, again, try to wow the audience. The insights can work really well. So there's a lot of things you can do. Now, the second piece that we segue into, how do I now build a relationship? So being a speaker means you're already building a relationship, right? You're building a relationship with the organizers. You're then building a relationship with the audience on stage. And that audience then transfers, likely if you do a really good job, into the relationships you want to manage on social media. And social media is great for that because it allows you to manage relationships at different levels, because you can't obviously talk to everybody. People are always like, well, Bobby, you have 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. How do you maintain a relationship with everybody? Well, I don't, but I do maintain a relationship at different levels, right? So the best way is through content. Like, for example, this LinkedIn Live this broadcast is connecting with the people who are all my followers. And every day they now have access to me for 25 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's actually pretty good, right? And a lot of people value having access to somebody, right? So that's one way. That would be a way I manage a relationship with everybody. Then the ones with the people who I have greater connection with, then there's more, group coaching, one-on-ones, things like that. And thanks. Keep asking questions. I'll get to the questions after I'm done the presentation part. So, what was I saying? So yeah. So in terms of the, I've lost my train of thought. Holy cow! It's that managing the followership. Yeah. So one of the things that I think every speaker should have is a strong, I'm going to call it a thought leadership personal brand strategy. It's something that I think speaking is a huge part of personal branding. It's a huge part of your thought leadership brand. So is relationship building. And so when you take speaking and you take idea generation and content and you take networking, building relationships, they all go hand in hand into building thought leadership around your personal brand. So if you want to call a thought leader in your field, no matter what it is, shoemaking, astronomy, nanotechnology, then speaking is one part. The other part is creating the content and building connections. So I encourage all of you to actually start creating content. Every speaker should be creating content. Now, blogs and PDFs are nice, but like if you're going to be a speaker, video, like create video content and put it out there. You want help? Ask me or check out the Master Your Video program. Create video content, do live streaming, whether it's, if you don't have it here, do it on Facebook, do it on Instagram. Hi, Monica, good to see you. Create content as much as you can because it's going to benefit your personal brand. And that's how you're going to create value for your audience and your followership. And pretty soon you get even more followers. When I first started my first TEDx talk, I launched my social media strategy. And I was new on Twitter, new on Facebook, my Facebook business page, new newsletter. And I started working on it. I started creating content and talking about the things that I was considering myself to be an expert on. So I was talking about leadership and soft skills and networking at the time. Then I started talking later about personal branding and digital marketing and influence. I started talking about entrepreneurship and thought leadership and things like that. And what happened was, after my first TEDx talk of the 5 I've done, which was on March 5th, 2011, 6 months later on Twitter, I had 5,000 followers from all my content. And someone said, hey, Bobby, we love what you talk about. Can you come in and do a presentation for our volunteers? I'm like, sure. And so I got my first speaking gig off of Twitter in 6 months of just, creating content. And that was awesome. And then just from there, it just kept going on. I kept getting more and more opportunities through the stuff that I was creating. Because before, as I said before, when I first started marketing myself, it was mostly referrals and people I knew. 80% of all my work was referrals. But then I started getting lots of gigs through the content that I was creating. And then eventually I got the agents with the National Speakers Bureau who are awesome. But and I continue to do the thought leadership branding content because it serves me, it serves my agency, it serves everybody because they now know who I am and what I'm all about. You can even go to YouTube and see like 600 to 800 videos that are on there of all the stuff I've talked about over the years. So for me, like that's why I encourage people to really think about the content. Now, if you've done the work in, the week 1 or module 1 where we talked about creating your story, brand, profile, and you know what your let's say your 3 big topics are, you know what your brand is, you know what your profile is, you know what your target is, it'll be easier to create content because you already know what these people, who they are, how they feel, what's their pain point, what's their bliss point, what are the questions they have, and you can do your best to try to, help them out. That's really what, creating that content is a big thing that's all about. So, hi Nancy, thanks for the question. I'll answer in a second. So creating a world-class presentation and then building followership and building an audience, managing relationships by content and emails and group coaching and webinars and all that kind of stuff is going to be huge for building that strong brand. That's going to get you even more speaking gigs. Okay, so that's really the entire purpose of this thing is to, one is to just give you some value on how to start getting more speaking opportunities, building a speaker brand. The other one, of course, is, to promote my work as a speaker coach where I help people get speaking gigs, build a system and things like that. And if you're interested, you can check out the links below. As a special announcement, I'm also giving I'm giving away a couple of coaching sessions for people who sign up for my Patreon tier 2 or higher levels. If you check my Patreon page and the link in the post, you'll see that stuff and you'll see kind of what's there, and you're going to see that there's great value for anyone who signs on for a minimum of 2 months. You're going to get incredible value, and on top of that, I'll throw in a 1-hour consulting call with you. So. But let's get some questions, all right? So let's see here. Any questions? Ooh, boo, 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 boo. If you have any other questions, let me know. So first question, how do you connect the two in terms of wowing the audience and manage relationships? Well, I think I already answered that one. When you wow the audience, they'll want to connect with you and follow you, right? And then some of them will become personal relationships. Some of them will become just part of your feed and part of your loyal following that checks out your stuff and likes your videos you upload and things like that. So that's really kind of how that works. And actually, before we get more into questions, again, if you know people want to be part of this conversation, we're talking about this is my daily broadcast, the Power Connection channel for LinkedIn Live. I'm here every day, 8:30 a.m. to share content, to share with you, to talk about different topics around personal branding, networking, leadership, thought leadership, entrepreneurship, digital marketing, influence, things like that. So, and today we're talking about the 4-part series of public speaking, where now I talk about how to wow the audience and manage relationships. So, like I said, if you create a great presentation and deliver excellence, then you will start to build a brand, because you also probably, hopefully, took a video of your talk, right? And then that's going to be part of your content as well. So now I'm going to answer questions, Q&A time, guys. Put them below. And again, tag people that you think should be part of this conversation to watch the entire series. Bring people as part of the conversation. So let's see here. More questions. Let's see. Glad to hear Perio's here. Christopher asks, how long should a speech last for? They say after 1 hour, people's attention spans start to lose focus. Well, it's true, but again, context, right? If you're doing a full day workshop, that's a whole different thing. So it'll be longer. But I mean, I've done keynotes that are 20 minutes, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90 minutes. But, a 90-minute talk would be one that has a lot of interaction. So, for example, when I do my authentic networking stuff, I'll actually break it down into a 20-minute and a 15-minute section where I actually get them up and doing stuff. Whereas the content is actually only about 45 minutes, right? So that's an interactive piece where we have key takeaways, and people love that one because it's very interactive, right? So, but if you're just going to be talking, I don't think you want to go talking about one topic. I don't think you want to go more than 1 hour for a keynote. Usually what I do is, if it's an hour keynote, I will plan about 15 minutes of content and then 10 minutes of Q&A. If it's 45 minutes, again, I'm really big on Q&A. The only time, once it gets below 30 minutes, I'll say, look, I'll do the content for the full 20 to 30 minutes, and then please give me some time afterwards for Q&A, or I'll encourage people to talk to me, because the Q&A for me is very, very important. So yeah, I think that for keynotes, any keynote longer than an hour can be, without any sort of interaction, can be a little bit rough for people, okay? Now let's see, other questions. Marianne says, conversation after the presentation are often so rich. True. Christopher asked, how long should the speech last? Yeah, I already said that, but it depends. You could do a full day presentation. That's different. That's a workshop, though. Nancy says, good morning. What event will you be speaking at next that really has you excited? Oh, man. Well, there's a bunch, but there's the women engineers next month. It's kind of cool. I love that one, and with networking. But if I got to be honest, the one in Africa is pretty cool. So I'm going to be speaking in Africa in July to 800 engineering students and engineers in Tunisia, Africa. So that one, I went last year. It was amazing. This year it's another city, another group of people. I can't wait. The energy of the crowd was phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm delivering a different keynote this time, but very excited about that. Christopher asks, how do you build rapport with an audience before getting to your speech? Well, there are different ways to build rapport. One is you talk to the audience before you even get on stage, right? So go in there and mill around, talk to people. Depending on how much time you have, you can talk to 10, 20 people about why they're here and what they're getting from it. That's one thing. The second thing you do before you get into your speech is you tell a personal story. You tell a personal story about who you are that relates to the topic and what the key takeaways are. Right. So, for example, I did a keynote on entrepreneurship, and right away I talked about my story as an entrepreneur when I was a kid, where I used to pick raspberries and blueberries and then sell them as a kid, or when I joined Junior Achievement in grade 10 and how I ran a company and how that taught me about entrepreneurship. And so those personal stories, are things that connect to people and gets them to build rapport. I think those are probably the two biggest things. And then the third thing I do is actually I engage the audience. I actually ask them questions. I say, what are your challenges? What do you want to learn? And I'll spend 5 minutes with that, and that's part of interaction engagement, but it also, builds a lot of credibility about what we're going to cover, and it helps them to understand, Bobby's going to deliver this stuff, and he's already engaging us. So all that kind of stuff creates that personal connection. James says, follow TEDx limits. Well, again, it depends on the context. If I get hired for a speech for 60 minutes, I can't say, well, it's got to be 18 minutes or less because it's TEDx. But, there are TEDx styles events that I've done. Having done 5 TEDx talks, all my talks were between 12 to 18 minutes long, depending on what I wanted to cover. So TEDx limits are a little bit different, but if the event's like that, you got to do it. Let's see here. Let's see here. How can one leverage thought leadership content before his or her company exists? Great question, Tim. Well, I mean, are you creating content about the things you care about? Just do it before your company even exists. Just start creating stuff. I mean, I was creating content on personal branding years before DYPB, Discover Your Personal Brand, the company existed. And that was great because I can leverage that stuff and use it for DYPB. I was talking about networking and talking about how to build relationships before I launched my career as a speaker. And that's why people said, Bobby, why don't you become a speaker? And then when I said, what topics? Well, you always talk about networking and how good you are at that. And you always give great tips on how to build relationships. Why don't you do speech on that? Done. That's what I did. Right? Now, if you're looking to build a personal brand, so it says here, just looking to build a personal brand, but without the consulting speaking engagements. Well, I mean, you can build a personal brand without the speaking engagements. I mean, speaking engagements are a way to 10x your brand. So if you don't want to do that and go super slow, by all means, you can do that. But the truth is, your personal brand, and especially as a thought leader, is going to be built through content and networking and working on speaking and writing. But that said, so if you, like a thought leadership requires you to speak and write, it requires you to network and build relationships, it requires you to create content. So if you now don't want to speak and you don't want to build those relationships in a more massive way, it's going to slow you down, right? But you can still build a personal brand. One is by knowing how to dive into your personal brand and figure that stuff out. You can still create content around that, so you don't have to be a consultant or speaking. But again, like I said, it's very slow. Continue to deliver great work. Talk about your expertise. You still have to talk about that stuff, right? You have to still blog about it. You still have to do video posts. You still have to do live streams. Share your work. Share your expertise. Share your experience. Share your stories. That's what you need to be able to do. And if you do that, then you're going to still be able to leverage that branding. Okay? I hope that answers the question, Tim. Let's see here. James, I would love to hear more about women in engineering because my daughter's thinking about coming into the industry. We need more diversity as well as perspectives represented. I agree. Women in STEM and women in tech is fantastic, and I'm a huge supporter and ally for that type of stuff. And if we can encourage more of that, great. Actually, when I went last year to Tunisia, there was actually quite a few women, so that was great. Some of them were super smart and had these great scholarships. And I remember talking to this one woman, and she had amazing scholarships, and she had all these great opportunities, and it was kind of cool to talk to her about that and what she was doing. Let's see any other questions. Right on. As a speaker, what do you want to be mindful of regarding tone, volume, cadence? Well, I mean, the most important thing is for you to understand what is your speaker style and energy. I have a downloadable PDF called "What is Your Superhero Speaking Style?" Because we all speak in different ways, right? So whether you're Brené Brown or Gary Vaynerchuk or Bill Gates or Susan Cain, we all talk in keynote in different ways, right? So you have to understand what is your style. That's an important thing to figure out. The second thing to figure out, what is your energy? Every single one of us has an energy. So my energy is very, very loud on stage and I'm moving around. That's me. Other people have energy just from their smile. Right? They smile and they're just very happy. Other people have energy in their eyes. They have eyes that really are compelling and just really they're very soulful eyes. So it's important for you to understand what that energy is that connects with the audience. And when you do that, you can start to work very well. Now, tone also changes depending on your audience. One time, and here's one interesting thing. One time I had an audience. It was the death care industry. So basically, funeral parlor and cemetery owners. Yeah, pretty morbid stuff, right? But I had met with them before, and they said, we love jokes because we work in the death care industry, so jokes are really important. I'm like, really? I can tell jokes? Like, yeah, please tell jokes. I'm like, okay. But initially the tone was a little bit more serious. I wanted to make sure. And I said, and I even told them, I heard from the organizers that you guys are amazing at jokes because of the industry you work in. And so if you're okay, I'm going to do some jokes. They're like, yeah, let's do some jokes. Great. Then the tone changed, right? So in volume, I mean, again, work on the dynamics of language. If I say something really, really quiet, here's what I want you to know. Build relationships. I'm doing. Robin Sharma is really known for he's the whisperer. He likes to whisper, but it's a very powerful way to create dynamics in your presentation. Other people, if you're a quiet person, you say, one of the things I want you to take away from this is always be networking, and they raise their volume, and again, it creates incredible impact around what they're trying to say. Other people take breaks. You know what the greatest thing in the world is? Personal branding. Right, so they do that pause. Like there's different things you can do to try to create a great presentation. But again, and I do workshops on. In fact, I'm doing a workshop in Toronto in June. I think it's June 13th on storytelling and presentation skills live in Toronto. If you're around, let me know, and I can send you a link to that. I'm very excited about that workshop, and I think early bird tickets are on sale now. So let me know. Other questions here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see here. James says, I definitely agree. It's important to engage people before you speak. That might equalize the energy. Yeah, exactly. Okay, great tips. Thank you. Again, great points. Don't wait for someone to get in front. Start creating that content. Exactly. Okay, good. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions. If we do, put them below, and I'm happy to share. But in the meantime, again, this series was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, basically about how to become a speaker, how to get speaking gigs, how to build a system for speaking. If you're already a CEO or a thought leader or an expert or a high-level employee or an entrepreneur, and you want to get out there and speak more and build a speaker brand, this whole series is about helping you do that. And I'm going to start doing more series. If you have ideas for other series for me to do, comment below. Let me know what they are. If you have the questions, comment below. If you have any other suggestions on topics, comment below. If you just want to share some gratitude or love, or you want to tag someone, comment below. Because again, I'm doing these LinkedIn live streams because I want to create more engagement. I want to add value for you, and try to deliver as much as I can for you. And as the last thing I mentioned before, I have this awesome special offer this week. It's going to end on Sunday, but basically, if you check out my Patreon page, it's in the links in the post. The first 5 people, well, I shouldn't say the first 5 because some people already signed up, but the first 5 people sign up for a tier 2 or higher level for my community is going to get a 1 hour free complimentary consulting, which is that's worth $250, $300 an hour type thing. So check that out. And I might as well pitch a little bit in the sense that we have I'm doing a webinar next week on presentation skills. I'm doing a workshop in a couple weeks on presentation skills and presenting live online and storytelling. And then LinkedIn Locals are coming up in July 24th, so that's happening soon too. So if you want to learn more about that, check out DYPB and what we're up to. If you have any other comments or whatever, if you join this late, put your comments and questions below. I'll try to get to them afterwards, or you can put them on the next call on Monday. Because again, I'm here every Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to share content and share my Power Connection channel with you with the LinkedIn Live broadcast. So thanks so much for joining in here. Looks like a couple more comments here. Vivian, my former student from New York, is here. Great. James is telling a great show. People are dying to get in the death care industry. Haha, very funny. My pleasure, Chris. James is just going on with the puns, the grave circumstances. Okay, you're killing me, James. You're killing me. Oh, see, I did it again. Tech is actually really, if you know how to use tech very well in your presentations, I definitely think it will add value to what you're trying to do. So I totally recommend that as well. All right, so thanks so much for everyone joining the call. I'll see you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm doing a lot of weekend stuff with my kids. They have all their dance recitals and things like that, and then of course the Raptors game on Sunday. So lots of stuff going on. Hope you guys have some really fun weekend plans. Wish you all the best, and thanks so much for joining. We're now done three weeks of LinkedIn Live. This is week 4, so thank you so much for that, and I appreciate your time. All the best. Take care.